All right, well, thanks for coming out, and certainly disappointed with the result. I thought our kids played hard for 4 quarters. I think we went right down to the whistle, playing as hard as we can. The bottom line is we, on offense, we missed some opportunities, I think, in the passing game in the second and third quarter that we had people open, and we just didn't throw and catch as well as we need to. In a game like that, you have to make those plays. We came out of we started out really, really slow. I mean, I think we had like negative yards of offense almost, or close to it after the first quarter. The second quarter, we seemed to get a little bit of a rhythm. We had a nice little mix going. And I thought the third quarter was going to be critical, that we started with the football, we were down 7 points, and we just sputtered offensively, and then came to life in the fourth quarter and was too little too late. Defensively, we still have not generated a turnover in 4 games. They tried to hand us 2. They threw the ball right to us, and we dropped them both. We didn't tackle well. I thought their offensive line played extremely well. I think they clearly controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football, but especially their offensive line. Their offensive line is really good. They're physical. They were picking up all the movements and blitzes and everything we were throwing at them. And their backs did a really good job of making our safeties and corners missed. I can't imagine how many missed tackles we had this game. It just seemed like they were letting the ball bounce and allowing it to bounce because we had stuffed up all the inside gaps, and we had a lot of opportunities, a corner on a back, a safety on a back, to make a tackle, and we missed too many of those, or the pile went forward, and it just got to a point late in the game that they were just kind of coming off the ball and mauling us. And again, they got a good O-line, they got a good back. We did not tackle as well as we needed to. But again, we did some good things, but we came up short, and obviously the goal is to win. So, we certainly pat them on the back for the effort, but the result is not acceptable. And we're making progress, but this is one that we really wanted to get and thought we could get. So we're disappointed. Any questions?
You talked about the rhythm that Hinton got into there in the fourth quarter, and what was the reason behind that? What do you think it was that helped him get into that?
Well, sometimes you're down by 2 scores or 3 scores late, and you go fast, and they kind of got to a time that they were rushing 4, so the protection held up better. And then when they brought some blitzes, it still got to us. So we did not do a good job with blitz pickup today. Part of that is physically we lost some matchups, and part of that is in the heat of the moment, we got a lot of young guys out there, and they didn't identify fronts, and they didn't see rotation, and we cut some things loose. And I can't do that. I mean, Kendall took some shots of unblocked guys that are supposed to be picked up. The protection accounts for those guys. And I was talking to the running backs this morning about the biggest adjustment from college to college from high school, and they all said it's all the protections. It's seeing safeties and rotation, and when they know where to go and they know who to block, they do a pretty good job with it. But we cut a few loose today that really hurt us.
What do you see as Kendall's problems with accuracy with the short and medium pass? He throws a long pass really, really well.
Dan, and he throws every ball well. I mean, if you watch him in practice, I mean, he hits those throws, but it's the same thing we dealt with last year. You got a true freshman starting his first game, and I'm sure he had some jitters, and he's a tremendous athlete, makes great plays, but there's a lot of throws that I know Kendall can make, and he makes consistently in practice that, for whatever reason, I mean, we had KJ Brent wide open on a few comebacks that we underthrew, overthrew, and sometimes when you're out there in the game and you're processing all the different rotations and the protection things and all the things a quarterback has to do, it sometimes that paralyzes you a little bit. And you can not do that stuff and run a lot of bad plays, or you can do that stuff and it just, it's his first start. I think there's some throws he didn't make, but I don't think we're even in that game at the end if he doesn't make some of the plays he makes with his feet and with his arm. And I thought he played with great courage, just like John did a year ago. And obviously he's a special talent with some of the things he does with his feet. But again, just like the interception he threw from the end zone. I mean, it's third down, minimize the loss. The protection broke down, throw it away, and those are things that when you play a bunch of young guys, they each make that mistake once. But when you're starting 6 freshmen on offense, they all accumulate and they catch up with you.
It seemed to me, like you said, he did hit a lot, several times after the whistle too. But he seemed to be really tough and hang in there, not letting it get to him.
Our quarterbacks are tough, man. They really are. Kendall's tough. John's tough. We got tough kids playing quarterback for us. So, I mean, Kendall played with great courage. I think they were going after him a little bit, and he took some shots. And, some were legal and some weren't.
You've talked a number of times about the need to get the offensive line straightened out and get it rolling. Was it hard not to be a little bit envious to see Kevin's had 4 years now with his program? He's built an offensive line that you saw.
Yeah, and you know what, Dan? I mean, because we played them at Bowling Green and we've studied them. I mean, we played against those kids when they were freshmen and sophomores, and I've said all along that position takes the longest to develop. You're not going to have a great recruiting year and bring in a freshman offensive lineman that's going to help you win. That's a position that requires, maybe you can put one in there if the rest of the group is older, but I mean, right now we're starting 2, and when Ryan Anderson is back, he's going to be right in that mix too. But those guys are playing well. I mean, our offensive line, Dan, is clearly better than it was a year ago. I mean, we've taken a step, but it's an incremental step. I mean, I think we've, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've rushed for more yards this year already than we rushed for all of last year after 4 games. So we're better. We're not elite yet, or we're not, I wouldn't say we're good, but we're clearly getting better. And most of those guys are going to be back for us for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So, I mean, that is a work in progress, and those guys are competing hard, and they're giving us their very best, and they're improved.
You said that it took a few hits, some which were legal, some were not. Was you looking to see a little bit more yellow film today?
I thought the one, they got the ones on the sideline, and who knows? I mean, obviously I'm going to advocate and try to protect our players, and sometimes I get a little overzealous in the heat of the moment, and I don't know if it was a good call or a bad call, but they knew John was down, and they knew we had one quarterback that was ready to play. So they got him a few times on the sideline, and those were called, and there was a few extra hits that were probably on the edge a little bit, but it's football.
Did they tell you that Chuck Wade's, I mean, you guys ended up scoring a couple of plays later, did they say Chuck Wade's knee was down or his elbow was down?
I don't know. I saw the same replay that all of our fans saw, so I was sending the extra point team out there. So obviously the replay guy saw an angle that we didn't have the privilege of seeing.
When did you know John would not be able to play? And was Thomas Brown available because it was in the game?
I mean, John, I think out of the Army game, we thought, like I told you on Tuesday, we thought was doubtful. And with an ankle sprain, but just last week he couldn't protect himself, and then when he didn't practice Wednesday, the hope was maybe we could have him in an emergency, and then by Thursday the decision was made that he was not going to play, that he couldn't even play. I mean, honestly, I wanted him to go out in warm-ups just to keep them guessing, and the trainer said you shouldn't even do that. So, I mean, you can certainly understand, I didn't want to make that announcement Thursday, and but by the middle of the week, we were pretty much decided we were going to start Kendall, and then you just hope you have him for an emergency, and by Thursday that got ruled out. Thomas Brown, we thought we had. We thought he was good to go. He twisted his ankle last week. He was limited Tuesday, did a little more Wednesday, and went out there today and just was limping and didn't feel good. And then Ryan Javion got knocked out of the game, and Zach Dansel got knocked out of the game, and we're down 3 safeties. Well, they got diagnosed with concussions, and it's obviously with how severe or slight they are in this day and age. Anytime a kid even is, if you're suspicious that it's even close, like we did last year with John in the Syracuse game, you shut him down. You don't take any chances. So the second the kid feels dizzy or can't process stuff on the sidelines, we immediately let our trainer know, and if he says it's possible it's a concussion, Now they can come back tomorrow and say it's mild, it's slight, geez, I don't, he might have been dehydrated, but if it's even a 1% chance, they're done.
They have a lot of yards passing. A lot of people will just assume that means that the secondary didn't do their job. But at the same time, you're not getting much of a pass rush except.
No, we're not. I mean, we certainly missed Duke Ejiofor. That he going into the year was kind of our elite pass rusher and the guy that we thought would get pressure off the edge. And we're with those two things, sometimes a good pass rush can cover up for liabilities in the secondary, and sometimes a great secondary can make the quarterback hold the ball a little longer. And I'd say we're on the short end of both those sticks. That right now I don't think we're playing nearly as well in the secondary as we could or we should. Obviously we have 3 new starters back there, but I don't think we're communicating as well at that level of the defense as we need to. And it doesn't help us that we don't generate a 4-man pass rush. So that's that's a problem. I think we anticipated some growing pains in the secondary because graduating 3 guys. The pass rush stuff, I don't think we anticipated, but we're to a point now that losing some ends, that you got Chris Stewart and Chris Calhoun out there as freshmen playing a lot of reps, and those guys are playing hard and they're going to get better. So again, we're very young and kids are playing hard. They're going to keep getting better, and there's a high learning curve. But that was a very, very physical group up front on offense. That was a baptism for some of those guys on the O-line.
Kendall had told me earlier this week that he seemed to settle into the Army game after he took a couple of hits. He kind of got in the flow.
Then he really should have been in the rhythm today, yeah.
Well, my point is he seemed to really settle in and have good second and fourth quarters. Is there any chance you might start roughing them up before the game starts?
I'll have you and Dan come out and
That's scary.
and hit them.
That'll really
Yeah.
scare 'em.
I'll have you guys. I'll have them have some chicken with us on Tuesday, and we'll do a little pass rush drill. You guys will have to sign liability waivers, though.
How about Brad Watson playing corner today? He only played pretty well. I think he had 8 tackles.
He did, but we also missed some tackles though in the secondary, and so I mean Brad's a good player. He covers well. He's big. He's physical, but as a whole, probably on defense, the secondary right now has got to execute better and tighten down. We're not. When those guys in the back end miss tackles, it's big plays. And the amount of times, when that offensive line is zoning right and zoning left and the thing squirts through and there's a safety unblocked in the hole at 2 or 3 yards, you got to make that play. And their kid did it. I mean, it was the second or third play today, and our offensive line blocked it well, and their safety number 9 came downhill and made a tackle for 2 yards. And we had opportunities to make those same plays that became 6, 8, 12, and breakout runs. And again, we got them down sometimes, but at that level, you got to get them down all the time.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate it.